What if your business could run itself while you sleep? I mean, actually run itself, making money, serving customers, handling tasks, all on autopilot. That's the dream, right? It's the ultimate goal for any entrepreneur. And with the explosion of AI, that dream feels closer than ever. We see it all over the internet. Automate your entire marketing with this one AI tool, or let AI handle your customer service. The problem is that most people get it wrong. They think business automation is just about giving an AI a half-baked prompt and expecting magic. They let it generate some text, an image, maybe even a video, and then wonder why it feels generic, why it doesn't actually move the needle for their business. If you want to truly succeed with automation, you need to stop thinking about it as one big magic button. And instead, you need to understand that genuine, effective automation happens at the intersection of three separate pillars. Finding this intersection is the key. And it's not as complicated as it sounds. We just need to simplify each pillar to its core idea. Business are your KPIs, your goal. Automations are your processes and systems. And AI are basically context and content. Okay, I need you to stick with me because in this video, we're going to break down each of these pillars one by one. And at the end, I'm going to give you the entire playbook. A simple 6-step system you can use immediately to find the right automation opportunities in your business. This isn't just theory, it's a practical checklist for saving time and money. Let's start with the most important pillar of all, the business itself. All right, let's talk about pillar number 1, business. And I want to be brutally honest here. A business's fundamental goal is to make money. Everything else, your mission, your brand, your amazing company culture, is branding and packaging around that core goal. Whether you donate to charity or you put your customers first, it always comes back to generating income. And that's not a bad thing. Accepting this lets us get really clear and sober about what we're trying to achieve with automation. So before you even think about a single tool or an AI prompt, you have to ask, what is the key performance indicator, the KPI I'm trying to improve? Am I trying to reduce customer support ticket times, increase sales conversions, or maybe even lowering my operating costs? The answer starts with your product or service. You see, whether you realize it or not, you already have processes and systems in your business. The question is, did you create them with intention? Think about it. Let's say you sell a physical product. The first time you sell it, you try to get it out there. But then you start noticing who's buying it. You figure out the best way to promote it, and your customers start asking for other similar products. You're learning. Before you know it, you're not just figuring it out anymore, you start calling this market research. As that becomes more critical to your success, you create a system for how to do it effectively. Maybe a specific survey you send out, or a way to track competitor products. You get into a flow, you get better at it. That evolution right there is what people call gaining experience. You've turned a random set of actions into a predictable system designed to achieve a business goal. And once you have documented a system like that, that's when you've laid out the perfect foundation for our second pillar. That's when you can start asking, how do I automate this? So let's say you've identified a key business goal and you've documented the system you use to achieve it. Like our market research example earlier. Now we are at pillar 2, automation. This is where we turn that manual system into a machine that works for you. Any process, no matter how complex it seems, is just a series of actions based on a set of variables. Variables are just the standard things you look at, use, or create every time you do the task. In our research example, the variables might be the customer's name, the product they mentioned, and the rating they gave. To start automating, the very first thing you need to do is document these variables and the exact steps you take actually. Write it down, make it a flowchart, whatever actually works for you. You need to understand the machine before you can build it. Once you have your process mapped out, you can find a tool or a way to automate it. But, and this is the most important part of this entire section, don't immediately implement it. Just because you can automate something doesn't mean you should. Before you spend a single dollar or a single hour setting it up, you have to stop and ask 2 simple but brutally honest questions. Question 1. What specific problem does this automation solve? If the answer is vague, like it makes things easier, that's not good enough. It needs to be concrete. It stops me from manually copy-pasting 500 lines of data every Friday. Question 2. Does it save enough time for a cost that makes sense? In other words, is the return on investment, the ROI, high enough? If a tool costs you $50 a month but only saves you 20 minutes of work, is that worth it? Maybe not. But if it saves your team 20 hours of work, that's a no-brainer. Ultimately, automation is always a solution to save time. And time is money. For you, for your employees, and for your customers. If the math doesn't add up, don't do it. But if the math does add up, then you're ready to choose your tool. And this is where things get quite interesting because your choice usually comes down to a simple script or our third and final pillar, AI. Okay, let's talk about the third pillar, the one that gets all the attention, AI. It's powerful, it's exciting, and it's changing so fast that anything I say today might be outdated in a month. But there are a few fundamental principles that will always be true. And the first one is a big one. If you are trying to automate 100% of anything important using AI, you're probably going to fail. Pure, unassisted AI output is what we call slop. It's content that lacks soul, context, and the unique experience that you bring to the table. For true success, you need human oversight. Your expertise is needed at the start to guide the process, and your critical eye is needed at the end to refine the output. So where does AI actually fit in? What is its superpower? AI is brilliant when unstructured data needs to be interpreted and turned into structured data. Think about it. An email from a client, a product review, a comment on social media, that's all unstructured data. There's no consistent format, but AI can read that chaos, understand the context and sentiment, and then organize it into something neat and tidy, like a spreadsheet or a database entry. Now, it's really tempting to just throw AI at every single step of your automation. But that's kind of a mistake because of two reasons: cost and consistency. AI models aren't always consistent. They might give you slightly different outputs each time. But more importantly, they run on tokens, and tokens cost money. The more data you process, the more expensive it gets. So here's the golden rule. If a task is repetitive and can be done with a simple script, you should always use a script. Don't use a complex, expensive AI to do the job that a few lines of JavaScript or Python code can do for a fraction of a penny, instantly and flawlessly every single time. In fact, here's a pro tip. You can even use AI to write that simple script for you. You get the best of both worlds. This isn't just theory. Let me show you a real-world example of how choosing the right tool for the job made a massive difference for one of my clients. So let's make this crystal clear with a real example. I worked with a client that scans thousands of products every single month. All of this raw data, product names, SKUs, prices, gets stored in a database. The problem was that this data needed to be organized, formatted perfectly, and exported into a clean CSV file for their partners. Manually, this was a nightmare. It used to take an employee 1 to 2 weeks of mind-numbing work every single month. This is a perfect candidate for automation. But what tool do we use? The data is always in the same format, so it's structured data. This is a key detail. Now, the flashy AI approach would be to pull the data into an automation platform, feed it into an AI, and give it a complicated prompt to format everything and spit it out. This would have worked, but it would have been total overkill. It would cost a bunch of money in AI tokens every single time it ran. And it's using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Instead, we choose the better approach. We ended up using a simple JS script, a few lines of code that do the exact same formatting perfectly every single time. It has almost no running costs, it will never make a mistake, and it doesn't depend on an external AI company or API. The result? The task that took 1 to 2 weeks of manual labor, it now happens in seconds. The cost to run it is basically zero. But here's the most crucial lesson, especially for a growing business: scalability. With the AI approach, the more products they scan, the more data they have, and the more expensive the process gets. Eventually, they might even hit the AI model's data limits. But with the script, the cost stays the same. It doesn't care if it's processing 100 products or 100,000. So when a task doesn't truly need interpretation, avoid AI. It might seem easier at the start, but it's a costly and fragile solution in the long run. Okay, so that's a clear case for a simple script. But when is it time to call in the AI? Let's look at a completely different problem. So we've established that for clean, structured data, a simple script is your best friend. So when does a task actually need AI? The answer is whenever you're dealing with a mess. AI shines in tasks that require summarization, categorization, and sentiment analysis. Basically, anytime a computer needs to understand human language. Let me give you a perfect example. A tech support mailbox. Every business owner knows this pain. Your inbox is constantly flooded with client emails. and clients have a tendency to treat everything like the world is ending. But you can only put out so many fires at once. How do you know what's a real emergency versus what's just a minor issue or a user error? This is an impossible job for a simple script because every email is different, the input is completely unstructured, but for an AI, this is the perfect job. You can train an AI to act as a smart filter. It reads every single incoming email and based on your internal rules, it analyzes the content. It looks for keywords, it understands the customer's history, and it gauges the overall sentiment. Is the client frustrated, angry, or just asking a simple question? Then only the truly urgent emails get pushed to a channel you always check. See the difference? The AI isn't writing replies or solving the problem on its own. It's doing the one thing humans are slow at, sifting through massive amounts of unstructured data to find the signal in the noise. It's your 24/7 assistant. And you can take it one step further. Once the AI marks an email as urgent, that can trigger a separate automated workflow. You could automatically email the client back saying, "We've marked this as a high priority," and even include a calendar link for them to immediately book a call with your support team. You've managed the customer's anxiety and started the solution process without lifting a finger. Now that is a smart strategic use of an AI in an automation pipeline. Okay, we've covered a lot. The 3 pillars, the difference between scripts and AI, and real-world examples. Now let's condense all of it into a practical 6-step system you can use every single time you think about automation. Step 1, define the business goal. Before you do anything, start with the business. What is the specific, expensive, or time-consuming problem you are trying to solve? What KPI are you trying to impact? Don't automate for the sake of technology. Step 2 is documenting the process. You cannot automate a system you don't understand. Map out the exact steps and variables as they exist right now. Get it all down on paper. Step 3, evaluate the ROI. This is your go, no-go moment. Ask the 2 critical questions. What problem does this solve, and is the ROI high enough? If the answer isn't a clear yes, stop here. Step 4, choose the right tool. This is where you decide between a script and an AI. Is the data structured and repetitive? Use a script. Does it require interpretation of unstructured data? That's a job for AI. Step 5, build and implement. This is the execution phase. Build your workflow, write your script, or use AI to help you write it, and put your automation into action. And finally, step 6, refine with human oversight. Remember, 100% automation often leads to low-quality slop. Your experience is the most valuable input. Guide the process at the start and always have a human review the output at the end. And that's the framework. Notice how AI is only a small part of the conversation? Ultimately, approaching business automation isn't about being a coding genius or an AI expert. It's about being a smart business operator. By following the system, you move beyond the hype and you start making strategic decisions that will actually save you time, reduce your costs, and help you build a stronger, more efficient business. So, I hope this helped demystify the world of business automation for you. It's an incredibly powerful tool when you approach it with the right strategy. Now I want to hear from you. Based on what we've talked about today, what is the #1 process in your business that you think is a prime candidate for automation? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. And of course, if you got value out of this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.